Story time with Paul.
It's been a while since I've heard that intro. This one, I don't even know how to tell this story yet, to be honest with you, because it just happened.
Yes.
So it's not a story that I've fine-tuned, but I think it's a story that just benefits from telling it how I perceived it. So since I started coming down to Columbus, the guys have been trying to get me to a Waffle House. And I was like, at first I was like, I've been to a Denny's. I know what a little greasy spoon diner is like. They're like, no, you have to have this experience. You have to experience the ambiance of a Waffle House. And so after the last show on Monday, late at night, we all decided to head over and get some Waffle House at like 1 a.m. or midnight or whatever it was. And I didn't know what to expect. TJ had they'd laid it on pretty thick, and I was like, it's probably just going to be a general fucking place. I was actually actively trying to downplay it in my mind. And so we walk in, and the first thing I notice, and that everybody notices, is that every fucking table in the joint is just heaped with trash. Like 3 or 4 fucking groups of guests had eaten at these fucking tables and just like shoved their garbage over into the corner. Like not a single table in the place was bust. There are 2 people working, 1 person on the grill and 1 waitress. There are several people sitting in the restaurant, either eating or ordering. And we there's 5 of us. We happened to find like the bar, like right in front of where they cook and take your order and shit. That was clean enough for us to sit. So we do. And it's a long fucking time before we're even acknowledged, like as human beings. Like I was just kind of watching the waitress, and she's buzzing around doing things, but nothing seems to be getting any better. Like all the busy work that she's doing is just exacerbating the problems. Finally, she gets over to us. She's flustered. You can tell it's been a busy night. They got a rush or whatever. And she takes our orders. And Scotty ordered steak and eggs, which I thought, like, looking at the line of people that hadn't been served yet and the fucking huge mess of dishes and shit back there, I was like, man, that's the last thing to come out. But like a minute and a half after we ordered, boom, Scotty's got his fucking steak and eggs. Nobody else has anything. But the hardest thing to cook apparently was the quickest thing to come out this night. So while we're sitting there, 2 other dudes walk in. They sit down. The woman's attending to us, but she does it like piecemeal. It's like she comes over, like there's usually a flow to waitressing. Like you come over, you take an order, you go back, you get drinks, you bring them out, then you bring the food. That was all out the fucking window because she had a billion things to do. She needed to bust tables. She needed to fucking wait on people. And so we got waited on, and then who knows how long it's going to be till we get our fucking food. So we're sitting there, and we're sitting there. And TJ looks over at me. I kind of look over at him, and he gives me this grin like, yeah, you see what I'm talking about? And I'm like, yeah, this is pretty bad. I mean, it's not out of the question. Like I've been in places that are busy before, but this is shaping up to be memorable, Little did I know that the shit had not even come close to hitting the fan yet. So these other 2 dudes that are sitting over there that came in after us basically at some point just give up because the woman, no matter what she does, she cannot find time to go and wait on them. Also, we noticed at this point that she's arguing a little bit with the cook. Like they're getting in these like heated little spats of like, he's like, run it by me again. And she's like, I wrote it all on the plates. It's all right there in front of you. You can't read the plates. And he's like, just run it through. So I'm like, oh, okay. I had come to believe that like it was the customers at a Waffle House that I should keep my eye on, but apparently like tonight, not so. So we're sitting there, and that argument is going on. I'm watching this waitress get more and more fucking exasperated, and TJ at some point looks over at me and said, didn't we order drinks? Oh, no. Anyway, our food starts to come out. That's first. She starts bringing our food. And one by one, we all kind of get served, and we're eating. And that's when TJ goes, didn't we order drinks? And I was like, yeah, we did, but she hasn't gotten around to it yet. And TJ goes, fuck that, and just stands up. And I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? TJ walks up and behind the bar where customers are not supposed to go, grabs a fucking cup, grabs the ice thing, scoops some ice, and fucking pours himself a soda. In the midst of this, the waitress goes, "Oh yeah, sir, go ahead, do what you got to do. I'm so sorry." And the cook walks over and he's like, "Sir, you can't do that. You cannot do that." And TJ literally goes, "Fuck you. I ordered drinks like a fucking hour ago. I'm thirsty." And goes and sits down with his drink. That, I think, was the catalyst for what happened next. Because the fucking two people working there had a meltdown of epic proportions, like right in front of us. The woman would say something pretty reasonable to the dude, and then he would be like, "Shut the fuck up. Keep your fucking voice down, man. People listening." And it's only him that's saying anything that's out of order. You know what I mean? "Shut the fuck up. Shut your fucking mouth. Keep your fucking mouth shut." You know, and it's just openly audible to us sitting here. At some point, the waitress comes over and gives me and Chelsea, who are sitting kind of on the end, and I guess by proxy, everybody else, a sob story about how it's the cook's fault. She's like, "Man, it's just him. I give him the orders and he doesn't know how to do it. And he's incompetent. I'm really trying. I really don't, we're having a hard time." And we're like, "It's okay. It's cool." And at some point there were tears. I mean, she broke down into fucking complete, like, absolute tears. And she's just openly crying while she's serving us, like she's bringing silverware or bringing extra napkins or something. I've never had a waitress openly sob serving me. She's just like, "Here's a plate. Oh, here's your biscuit. Oh, I hope that's okay. Is that okay? Okay, you're okay. And I'm just like, fuck. This is the most gut-wrenching experience I've ever had in an establishment. Like, up until this point in my life, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. Then, at some point, she excuses herself. She's like, "Everybody's got what they need. I'm going to step outside for a few minutes, guys, and just take a quick breather." And we're like, "Yeah, go. Okay, it's cool. Go ahead and do it." And when she did that, then the cook comes over to us. So now we're going to get both sides of the fucking story. The cook goes, "Man, I'm real sorry, guys. She's got something going on with a baby, something going on outside of work, and she's just crazy tonight, man. I don't understand what's going on. I don't get it." And we're like, "Yeah, it's cool." Trying to figure out how to walk this fucking balance beam between these two extreme positions without causing more fucking ruckus. She comes back in at some point. We're ready to leave. We all stand up. And for the first time in my life, I got rung up by somebody who was openly weeping, which I've never, like she's like, "Okay, yours is 1119. Okay, can I see your ID? Thank you." Okay. I mean, the guys will back me up on this if they unmute themselves. Like, I'm not exaggerating this.
It's 100% true.
You forgot to mention that the cook tried to bribe us with free food if we didn't call management about we saw there.
"You ain't gonna tell no one about this, right? I'll hook you guys up with anything you want for free."
Yep, that's what he said.
Yeah. And then he gave us, and then he ended up giving us like a plate that he made earlier that was like fucked up, like it was not the right order. So he's just like, "You guys have this free plate," and then we're all like, "Shit, yeah." And Paul's like, "Give me them hash browns and shit."
He did give us free food so that we wouldn't call the management, but nobody at that bench was calling the management because the way this unfolded was just too fucking perfect. And at some point I looked over at TJ and I was like, "So is this standard?" And TJ was like, No, this isn't even standard for a Waffle House. This is way beyond. Your first time at a Waffle House is the craziest one I've ever fucking seen."
Yeah, me too.
And so we left an empty Waffle House behind. By the time we left, there was nobody else left in the place except for the two people working there. Covered in garbage.
You mentioned earlier left without even getting their order taken.
That came in. Yeah, they never even got seen by the waitress, as far as I know. They just kind of just gave up at some point and walked out. And we left that place with like a sobbing waitress, a pissed off cook, and covered like waist deep in garbage. I cannot think. I was telling TJ, I've had all of those things at some point happen to me during a dining experience. Like I've been to places where it's really busy and they haven't had time to bust the tables, and I've been to places where somebody on the staff clearly isn't getting along with somebody else, and I've seen people break down into tears momentarily, but never all at once. Like the confluence of shit that happened that night was so far beyond any expectation that I had.
And it was surreal to pay your check to like a crying woman too.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like, and we all tipped her well, because how do you not tip somebody well that's weeping? You know what I mean? But like,
it's kind of hard not to at that point. It's kind of hard not to.
I don't, but this clearly was not planned. She wasn't like weeping to get tips out of us. She was weeping because it was the worst day of her fucking life. So I got to witness like probably the worst day of her life and that cook's life. And I got to, and to top it all off, the cherry on top is you would expect in an environment like that where there's acrimony and crying and waist deep garbage that the food that you get would be soggy and shit. It was delicious. I ate every scrap of everything that I was served, and it was like really good. I mean, it wasn't like blow my head off, the best thing I've ever eaten, but fuck, man. I ate, like I said, I ate everything, and then when he brought that other plate over, I was like, give me some more of that fucking hash brown. Yeah, buddy. So despite all the fucking craziness, I was served a decent meal, and I think that probably sums Waffle House up pretty nicely.
It's like I said, Paul, dinner and a show, man. Dinner and a show.
You weren't fucking kidding. You were not kidding.